Hey yo, what's up, everybody? How are you doing? Welcome to the Nigerian Nomad channel. For you guys that don't know who I am a first generation Nigerian American that was born outside of the country to Nigerian parents. And me just kind of like coming back to like rediscover, revisit, explore like my Nigerian ancestry and tradition, but also teaching my daughters and my family a little bit more about my culture and exposure and all of that stuff. And I share my journey on YouTube through like my investments, things that I'm doing, my farming, and just me just exploring life in Nigeria in general. So if that's your jam, check out this channel. I have plenty of videos that you can check out. And today, this is part of my own expansion of my knowledge about like Nigeria. So I came across this cool guy that we've been chatting and he's been giving me some interesting facts. And I'm like, you know what? Save the rest. I want to bring you on my channel and then we'll talk about it. And as you guys can see, he was kind enough to send me this shirt, which is really cool. He's also wearing this shirt. So I decided, you know what? Instead of me keeping this to myself, because I know there are like other people outside of Nigeria, other first generation, second generation, like people, kids born in UK, China, everywhere of Nigerian descendants that watch my channel. So this will also be good education in history for them. So today the video is to share like the top 10 unique, interesting, shocking facts about Nigeria that you might not know of, and some of you guys that are into history might know. And he has shared one or two with me. He hasn't shared the rest. So I will be watching with you guys as I'm interacting and engaging with him. So before we get started, let me just share a quick intro and then I'll have him take it over. And this is just going to be a casual conversation. I have been wanting to do videos like this where I just kind of sit with some interesting people and we just conversate. So and just have a discussion. So let me kind of stop talking much and introduce you guys to our guest today. His name is Samuel Okopi. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. He is the
Yeah.
founder and creative directors of Arewatees, and he is passionate about art, culture, history, and how it intersects between like how it can help tell authentic Nigerian and African stories in ways that drive action for the good of society. So, and he also is an editor in chief of Short Sharp Shot, a defunct art and literary magazine that promotes stellar flash fiction, poetry, and arts from Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. He's also held a few exhibitions in Nigeria and curated like 3 exhibitions in the UK as well. So thank you so much for joining us on this channel. How are you doing today?
Fine. Thank you, Bayo, for having me. I'm doing great, and I'm trying as much to smile as much as you are smiling.
Thank you, thank you. I think it's cool. You
Yeah.
know, when I'm talking to this camera, I feel like there's like a group of people looking at me, talking with me. So I naturally feel like I'm just vibing. And
Yeah.
it's good energy. So it's good energy that I'm feeling from you. So I'm excited to bring you on.
Yeah.
So
Thank
So I know I've given a little bit of intro, which I think is good, but I also want you to share a little bit about yourself, and I want you to talk about one thing that I've seen throughout like some of like your campaign and all of that stuff, and it's this like spirit of oneness campaign. So I think I'll have you talk a little bit about you, and I'll have you talk about your spirit of oneness campaign, and then we will now get into like the 10 unique, interesting facts about Nigeria.
Yes. Once again, thanks, Bayo, for having me on your show. I mean, I think I'm a great fan right now because when I stumbled on your channel, I was like, wow, this is what we are talking about, And it was so good to see a lot of Nigerians in diaspora converging on your platform, giving a lot of very interesting ideas about how they feel about the motherland. It was beautiful to see. Yeah, so my name is Samuel Okopi. I'm from Benue State, Nigeria, Midoma by tribe. Um, I live in Kaduna State and have been here for about 30 years. I'm a great lover of art. I've always done art right from when I was a kid. History is something that works so great for me. Like I love history. And um of course I've done a lot of businesses, but then at the end of the day I settled on Arewatees, which I founded in 2016. And the beautiful thing is, I had always wanted to do t-shirts from like 2010 and thereabout, but it was in 2016 everything came together. Art, history, entrepreneurship, everything just came together at Arewatees. And it was at the time when there was like high insecurity in Nigeria. And I felt like, how can I use t-shirts to promote peace? So the first design I did was, and a call for people to live in peace in the northern Nigeria. And it just took off. It went viral. A lot of people connected with the message. And that has been like our North Star ever since. And this is the 8th year, and we felt like let's bring this back. And now we're taking it to Niger, spirit of oneness, so that we see how we can get all Nigerians to look beyond their ethnic affiliations, their religious affiliations, and come together as one to make Nigeria better. So essentially, that's what the campaign is about. And we're trying to do this on the back of the wonderful potentials of Nigeria, the beautiful, rich cultural endowments, and the stories. Oh my God, there's so many stories waiting to be told in Nigeria, and this is just the first step. We're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I appreciate people like you because, art, history, they kind of connect us back to like, what things
Yeah.
were like before and what makes it unique. So the older that I get, the more that I become the more that I appreciate art and culture and history a little bit. I'm excited to learn about this. When I travel, I'm bored of everybody else's history. But I'm much more excited about like Black history, especially Black
Yeah.
American history, is like just very fascinating to me. So I'm excited to hear about it. And me being in Nigeria, me coming to Nigeria, I did not actually think that there's a lot of like tribalistic differences and conflicts. I've just always known, different people, and maybe because of my influence growing up in Lagos, I've just always. But I think the more that I'm diving into like different dimensions of Nigeria is where I'm seeing like how this surfaces. So I'm just like, oh wow, there's actually more division that we have. But I also see how we can all complement each other to make Nigeria
And I'll give you an interesting story. So yes, we have all those affiliations that can lead to a lot of unrest sometimes, violence and what have you. But it's very interesting to see how Nigerians come together as one when we are playing football against another nation. Like it's beautiful to see. you know, I remember growing up when I think Nigeria, that was Atlanta 94, when Nigeria at the semi-finals played against Brazil. We won, and then we went to the finals and won against Argentina. It was, I think, around 11 p.m. I remember my neighbor, my friend's dad, he came out shouting, Nigeria has won, Nigeria has won. But, the place was too quiet. He went back to his house, drove out his car, and went to the street, like the main street where people had already gathered. There were bonfires and what have you. I mean, I'm talking 12 big nights. There was nothing about religion this time, nothing about, it was just one Nigeria. Everybody just happy that Nigeria had taken the cup at the Atlanta 94 Olympics.
I love it. Yeah, I've definitely seen lots of interesting case studies when Nigerians have come together, and I'm like, man, Nigeria is a powerful country. Or like when people want to come together and take an action, they actually get it done. What prevents us from doing that is everybody's trying to like, personal not of their country. But anyways, I know we can talk a lot about that. But for the sake of this video, let's start immediately. Share we want to share with you guys like the top 10 interesting, unique facts about Nigeria. So I would say let's just dive in. So share number one. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm going to be using using like the designs from the collection to just help get a sense of how these stories have been put together and how these facts are truly shocking, you know. So, I mean, one of our designs that we did is the capitals design, right? So it has like the Nigerian map in a matrix format with all the states, sorry, all the state capitals, you know, so you can see Sokoto there, you can see Gusau and what have you. And I'm going to talk about two interesting facts using this as a springboard. So if you come somewhere here, you see Benin City, right? I'm sure you can see it on your screen.
Yep.
Benin City is famous as being the home of a Guinness World Book of Records title holder, so to speak. So in 1974, the Guinness Book of Records put it on record that the walls of Benin is the largest earthworks prior to the mechanical era. I mean, you can imagine the Kingdom of Benin as it was known then was so stunning that in about 1495, when the Portuguese arrived, they were shocked that there was such a vibrant city like that, according to them, in the middle of the African jungle. They were so shocked that they called it the Great City or the Great Kingdom of Benin, the Great City of Benin, I think. And I mean, as at the time, they didn't even believe there were any cities in Africa, you know. But seeing that, and they even sent back reports that people abroad need to see this city. Like the streets were wide, the houses were well planned, you know. I'm talking about hundreds of years ago. They even had something akin to street lights, you know. So they had these metal lamps that were at different parts of the streets, all leading up to the Oba's Palace, which was also a very beautiful edifice with columns and what have you. It just completely shocked them. They were like, these people are so organized. There's a proper bureaucracy. The people are well dressed. There's no hunger and what have you. And I mean, quote me. I'm taking this straight from the Guardian. They even said that at the time when London was being famous for thievery and murder and what have you, there was this great kingdom in Benin, in the kingdom of Benin, that was free from hunger and famine and was very, very advanced and one of the most beautiful cities in the world. You know?
Wow. Do we have like photos and pictures of what this looked like, or is all of that information lost?
Yeah, so now that's the in that's the sad part of the story. So in the 18th century, I think some internal conflicts had started weakening the empire, but then it all came to a head in 1897 with the British expedition. So the British came, and you know, the Benin people didn't want them to come into the kingdom, but they did eventually, and I think they were assassinated or something. So the British now took it upon themselves to come, and they just razed down the entire kingdom. You know, so it's so sad. Like the relics of that time have almost disappeared. You know, but the interesting part is that, I mean, for the records, Guinness Book of Records has put it down there. And in fact, I must tell you, at some time, I think maybe in the 2010s or early 2000s, it was even thought that the total length of the walls of Benin, which was about 16,000 kilometers long, was
Wow,
4 times the length of the Great Wall of China.
that's crazy.
I think 2017 or so, the Chinese government, they did like a more meticulous, you know, detailing of the total length of the Great Wall, and now realized that it was 21,000 kilometers long. But I mean, you can still see that something in Africa was almost rivaling that of like the Great Wall of China. You
Wow,
understand?
that's
So
great. Wow, that's amazing.
yeah,
Wow, that's an interesting fact to know that. I think when we think of like great infrastructure builds, I think we think of definitely Great Wall of China is on there, but we also think of like the pyramids in like Egypt and Gaza
yeah.
and all that stuff. But I've never heard of like any type of architectural history as it relates to like Nigeria.
Yeah, and do you know that for the Pyramid of Gaza, do you know the amount of earthworks, like earth that was used to build those walls? It was many times more than that used to build the Pyramid of Giza. That's
Hmm.
also an interesting fact. And this stuff spanned over 700 years. So they started building from, I think, about 900 AD all the way to,
Hmm.
I think, the 1400s or so. You
Hmm.
know, so
Wow.
you can imagine how that
Wow.
civilization spanned generations and,
Wow.
centuries.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that fact. That is very, very interesting. I'm gonna have to go and look it up after the
Yeah.
call to see.
And
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah, so I'll also share a second fact. Did you? I mean, you've seen this. How
Mm.
this also shows, the would I say the complexity of Nigeria, like the different boxes sort of like give a visual representation of how richly complex Nigeria is. And I'm going to say something about that as well. Did you know that Nigeria 7% of the world's languages are in Nigeria?
7%.
Of all the languages in the world, 7% of them are in Nigeria.
Hmm. That's very interesting. I did not know. But
Yeah. So
Nigeria has
so
lots of languages.
yeah, so I mean, at over 500 languages, Nigeria
Nigeria
is,
has 500
yes,
languages.
over 500. So some reports say
Dang.
521, some 533. I'm telling you, in Kaduna here, I have already counted probably 30 something languages. There's uh, Baja, there's Ikulu, there's Katab, there's Adio. Like there's just so many languages just in Kaduna, and I'm not talking about other states. And
That's
so
even a separate fact on its own.
so
I assume that okay, we have maybe like 20 something language. Okay, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba is the most dominant and visible, and then there's all this like Efik and Fulani and all these random ones that are like under the ones. But
no,
then some
they're
like
not. Okay, so um, I'll tell you something. So in my state where I come from, that's Benue
Mhm.
State. We've got the Tiv language, we've got Idoma, we've got Egede. These are like the main languages, right? But even my own language, Idoma, I I think there are more than 10 dialects. In fact, there are some that we cannot even say like is a dialect, because how can you tell me that your language is a dialect of mine, and then the word for beans is different from the word for beans in my language, for rice, market, and like how is that a dialect?
To be honest, I'm shocked. I don't even know how that's possible. And this is my dive into a different conversation. Like, how do these languages get like created so much? It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's crazy, honestly. So in fact,
Wow.
by some accounts, so many of the languages, you find them probably around like the northeast, and also Kaduna as well in northwest, and
Mm.
then even um, the south as well. Like Cross River also has a lot of languages. Rivers has a lot of languages. Like the
Wow.
northeast alone, I can tell you the languages in the northeast alone should be more than all the African countries, except maybe Congo and Cameroon.
Wow. Do you know why
Yeah.
we have so many languages?
Sorry?
Do you know why we have so many languages? Why do we have so
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So right now you've shared three interesting facts, or maybe two. One was like this Great Wall of Benin that I never
Yeah.
heard about. I think what I gathered on number two is the 500 languages, but I want to make sure I don't. There was an interesting fact you said that
Yeah, I said 7%. 7% of the world's languages are
7%
in
of the
Nigeria.
world languages is in Nigeria.
Here's the interesting thing, Bayo. Here's the interesting thing, right? If you zoom into the map of the world, right? So there are only two countries that have more languages, indigenous languages than Nigeria. The first is Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea has about 800 or something languages,
Wow.
followed by Indonesia that has about 700 or something. So Indonesia and Papua New Guinea are neighbors, like they share a boundary. So you can imagine that when you move from that part of the world where you have Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. The next place you are going to with that density of language, indigenous languages, is Africa, and that's Nigeria.
This is just crazy. That's crazy. No, if it's positive or negative, but I do think that a common language has a way of binding people together.
Oh, sure. But I think again, I think with life, you have, how do I put this? You make do with what you have and turn it either to gold or to rubbish, right? So I'll give you a typical example. In the United States, like you said, essentially the whole world is there. Like every country is represented. You can imagine if they wanted to just focus more on ethnicity and languages and everything, then you might just be having strife all the time. You know, the Spanish immigrants, the Mexican immigrants, the Italian immigrants, everybody will just have those affiliations, and then the US would not be the powerhouse it is. So I think the idea is to say, look, our many languages is a source of strength in the sense that it has spawned a lot of cultures, a lot of beautiful art, a lot of wonderful stuff that we can use, you know, to project a beautiful story of Nigeria. So you see the shirt I'm putting on, there are just so many symbols. All of these are spanning from the different cultures, you know. I mean, I could go on and explain all of these. And Bayo, you need to see all the beautiful cultures in Nigeria. Like the Ojude Oba festival that trended this year and last year. And in Nigeria, I never knew about it.
So like honestly, this year, it's funny. I was driving. I think I was going to the farm in Ogun State. So I saw a lot of people dressed in different like traditional attire, and I'm like, what's going on today? I didn't even know that's where they were heading. It's like later, like a few days later is when I saw that, and I was like, dang it, I could have went to this festival. But anyway.
Because language is the soul of culture, and I mean, it's true language that culture is born and birthed. You know, a lot to do with expressions, dance, food, and what have you. And that's why you see even in developed countries, they're taking very, very cogent steps to preserve their indigenous languages, because you need that diversity in the world. Biodiversity, for example, you see that we're making sure that as much as possible, we don't allow the fauna and flora in the world to get extinct. Because when they get extinct, you know, something gets missing. So a link is broken in the whole tapestry of humankind.
Makes a lot of sense. One thing that I've always been curious about, does all of these languages, are they dialects of like the main languages, or their own complete different languages?
Honestly, I believe that they are all individual languages. So yes, they might be okay, for example,
I know in Yoruba there's like different like spin-offs and dialects like words, but so I was always
but then, you know, sometimes I think like the so there's a language, there's a form of Yoruba I think they speak in Badagry. I think some people will say that's not Yoruba, it's a different language. And I'm sure that if two people are speaking, one from I think it's Egba or Suwa and then Yoruba, I'm sure if they're speaking, they might not even understand each other. You know?
Well,
so I'm also asking,
guys, if you guys are watching this video, comment underneath this video, what language do you speak from your tribe? I'm interested to see what language.
So Spanish and English and Italian, they have very common words, right? There are some words that, you know, are sort of like cut across them, and they also, most of them also sprang from the Latin, isn't it?
Yes.
So we can't call them dialects.
I went to Portugal, France, and different countries, and some words that are like the same. I mean, they sound the same. So, like, I grew up in California, so like I learned a lot of Spanish words, and when people are speaking Portuguese or French, sometimes I can like I know 20 is 20, but then if they say ben or vien, I can be like, oh, I can kind of connect it together. It's very okay. All right, so we've talked about 3 interesting facts so far. All right, let's talk about number 4.
Okay, so are you ready for number 4?
I am ready. I'm excited.
All right, if you see the shirt I'm wearing, right? I think maybe I'll just use
Okay.
this.
I
So one of
love
the patterns.
this. I love this shirt, by the way. I like the way how it fits around my arm,
Thank
how
you,
it
thank
fits.
you. So if you look at one of the patterns here, you would see like the sun. I think you also see like the river and fishes and all of that.
Let me see
Um,
which one you're pointing at. Can you point at it again?
yeah, it's here.
On my shirt, right here.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes. That's it. That's
this
it.
one. Okay. I see. Yep, I
Yeah.
see a fish. Let me bring it up to
Ah,
so that you guys can see it very well. So yeah, so I see a fish here, a river,
yeah.
and sun. All right, tell me about that. What is that?
So did you know that the rarest gorilla in the world is found in Nigeria?
Mm-mm. What is it
Ah,
called?
yeah, so it's called the Cross River Gorilla.
Interesting. I've never heard of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's found in the Cross River National Park. So the Cross River National Park, I mean, it's teeming with a lot of like wildlife, flora and fauna and what have you. So those gorillas, they are currently the rarest gorillas. In fact, sightings of those gorillas are extremely rare. So you will
Wow.
not even get to see a lot of pictures of them. Yes.
Well, that's even gives me more things to look up, which is very cool. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
And
that is
also,
before.
yeah, so also like an additional tip, the Cross
Oh, wait,
River,
hold on. You didn't give
yeah,
me how that connects. Okay, is this the Cross River symbol that
yeah.
you just
So
showed us?
how it connects
Okay.
is, um,
Okay, that's the
w- I,
Cross
I,
River. That's the Cross River symbol, right?
yeah, no, no, it's not. So what I did
Okay.
was I just tried to express the wonderful ecosystems that we have in our like marine ecosystem. So
Okay.
when we talk about like the Niger Delta, of course, the Niger Delta, that's where you also have the Cross River National Park, and there's just a whole lot of stuff there, to just show. So, for example, you see that fish now. I'll just
Mm.
maybe go into the next fact. The Niger Delta has the highest concentration of monotypic fish in the world.
Hmm.
Yes, so the Niger Delta is teeming with so much
What does
life.
that mean? Sorry. What does
So
monophytic
yeah,
mean?
so monotypic fish means that that particular fish, that's the only species in its family. So many organisms you might have that they have maybe different species or
Okay.
different genera, or I mean, I'm not a biologist, so
Yeah.
but
Okay.
for that, it means that that's the only species in that family, right?
Hmm.
So there are a lot of those kind of fishes in the Niger Delta, and I think it's important to talk about why um, we need knowledge like this, because when you have knowledge about the endowments of a person's environment or culture, it makes you respect it enough to take care of it and to tolerate those people. So I
Yeah.
will give you an interesting scenario. So growing up, I think, let's say 15, 20 years ago, at the height of the Niger Delta crisis, then when they were fighting for resource control and all of that, I had this stereotypical view about them. I just felt like, these people are troublesome. Why are they always fighting and what have you? But now here's the thing. When I started reading more about them, getting to know all the wonderful things, like some of which I have told you about now. I started seeing that, look, it's not even just about the oil, it's about the destruction to the land,
Of the
destruction to the
natural habitat
livelihood.
as well.
Do you understand? So, the fishes were dying and what have you, the land. So, you can imagine, in fact, by some accounts, they say the Niger Delta has some of the like most vibrant biodiversity in the world. And you
Hmm.
can imagine that being destroyed by, oil spillage. I
Yeah.
feel that's why it's also important to know these things so that we can better take care of our environment, take sustainability and conservation even much more seriously, because that's the only way we can do better as a nation, you know.
Yeah, wow, that's good. That's very, very good
Yeah.
knowledge. I think once you understand people's why, then you kind of
Ha,
understand the
yeah, because even the Niger Delta, I mean, that's another fact again. The swamp forests of the Niger Delta are the second largest in Africa, only
wow.
coming after the Congolian swamp forest.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So we've had 4 facts so far. Tell
I
me
think
more.
we've got it to 5.
We've not even done 5 or 6. Tell me more. So what is number 5?
Okay, so if you look here, I'm sure you can see a pyramid here,
Yep, this one. Yep, I can.
right?
Yep,
Okay, so interestingly, right? Yeah,
right.
can you see it?
Yep, I can. Right here. Yep, I can.
Okay, have you ever heard of the groundnut pyramids of Kanu?
Nope. Groundnut.
Yes, groundnut pyramids.
Groundnut like eat.
Yeah, these are not the
Okay,
pyramids of Giza made out of
okay,
sand blocks or what have you. These are
okay.
actually made from. These were actually made from bags of granules, and
Interesting.
each of those pyramids, right, was made from 15,000 bags of granules.
Wow.
And so, what was happening then? In fact, I mean, I'm even trying to lead to like the main fact. I'm sure you know Aliko Dangote, right?
Yeah.
And you know he's the richest black man on the planet.
Yep. Is it on the planet or in Africa? Is he the richest black man on the planet? Holy crap, I didn't know.
Yes, he's the richest African, but he's the richest black man on the
Wow.
planet.
Okay. Okay.
I'm building the story. So, Dangote, great Dangote's great grandfather was the one who brought the idea of the granite pyramids.
Hmm. Interesting.
And Dangote, yes, and Dangote's great grandfather, whose name was Al Hassan Dantata, was the richest man in West Africa at the time. That was like the 1890s or thereabout.
Wow. So his
So,
wealth
so, so you see
comes.
that the journey didn't begin today.
So what
and
were they
and
able to accomplish with these groundnuts?
okay, so you know how, for example, you have the Pyramid of Giza.
Mhm.
They had their functional uses or spiritual uses then, but ended up becoming tourist attractions, right? So
Hmm.
what happened was at the time, the Royal Niger Company was buying a lot of granules from Nigeria, and Dangote's great grandfather, the Alhassa Dantata, became one of the biggest merchants of granules then in Kanu, Kanu State in Nigeria, along with some other merchants. So, I mean, he was even sourcing granules from thousands of smallholder farmers within Nigeria, and even as far as Mali, Senegal, and Niger Republic. So all
Wow.
these granules were coming, and as they came and they were being bagged, they were now being stacked as pyramids. So it became a tourist site. So it was not just a functional way of storing these granules again. It became a
Hmm.
tourist site. So people were coming from different parts of the continent, and those who come for business and all of that were coming to just see the splendor of those granite pyramids in display. So I mean, if you go on Google, you will see what I'm talking about. You will
What is it
see,
called again? Let me Google
yeah,
it.
the granite pyramids.
So
Yeah,
does
of
this
Kano.
still exist or it has also
No, 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 it doesn't
doesn't
exist
exist
anymore. It
anymore?
doesn't
Wow.
exist anymore.
Holy
Yeah, so
crap.
a lot has happened between then and now.
This is massive. Holy crap. So when you said it, I was not visualizing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I see my screen. So
Aha, that's it.
looks like this is it.
Yes,
Wow.
that's it.
I can
That's it.
definitely see the details of the bags in between.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Wow, wow, wow. This is very cool. Okay. Man, I wonder if some of these things can be recreated, even like a miniature version, potentially. Wow, this is
Yes,
cool.
and that's one of the reasons we're doing what we're doing, because
Yeah,
just to also give you
it's really
some
cool.
idea behind this next design.
Hmm.
We call this design Ego, right? So it shows the coins
The
that we
couple.
had. Yeah, so you have the 10 kobo, 5 kobo, half kobo, and all of that.
I
And
do
this was
remember
just, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's only millennials that might have seen this. I,
that. I think anybody coming to Nigeria, because although I was not born here, I did spend a significant amount of time in Nigeria, and I do remember using Kobo to like go and buy chocolate
Yeah,
and
do you
things like
understand? Like for me, I used 25 kobo to buy granuts then,
that. And
You
for you
know,
guys who are watching this video, just think of dollars and cents. Nigeria at one point had all these small Kobo, I think is what it is
yeah,
called, and then
yeah,
now the value of they don't even use Kobo anymore. I don't even see it anymore.
yeah, and that's why we're also doing this design to just sort of get people to connect back to history to know that look, there was a time when we our money was much more valuable. Can we get back to that time, right? There's also the aspect of showing that Nigerians are very entrepreneurial. Like we can start with nothing or something small and grow it to become a very massive thing. So and that sort of ties to those groundnut pyramids. If you go on Wikipedia or different places and read about um Al Hassan Dantata, who I said was the richest man in West Africa at that time, you find that it was from very humble beginnings. Like at the point, I think it was even said that he had to even like just try to eke out a living and all of that. And I wouldn't bore you all the details, but you can see that just starting small, And then of course you've also heard about Dangote taking a loan of I think 500,000 then, and look at what he has grown it to become today.
Yes,
You
it's
know,
amazing.
look at the
By
Igbo
the
tribe as
way,
well.
now as we're talking about Dangote, I meant to do a video on this. I heard that the refinery is finally
I'm
producing
telling
like
you,
PMS is what they call it, premium.
yeah,
Like
a
for the
great
first
win for
time
Nigeria.
in 28 years that we have been
Yeah,
able to produce a refined oil. I feel like that's huge news. I
yes, it's huge.
feel like I
It's
should
huge.
be seeing it everywhere.
Single train refinery in the world.
Dang, this is
Yeah.
amazing. I think a lot of Nigerians were losing hope a bit because I think there was issues with them getting crude oil and all of that stuff. We'll see
Yeah.
how this, Nigerians are not very trusting. They're still waiting to see how this materializes into their own personal lives. Like, what does
Yeah.
this mean? Does this mean fuel scarcity is no longer a thing? Does this mean fuel is going to be cheaper? We're going to figure that out over time.
Exactly. I mean, we're
But
being
now I'm
hopeful.
going to
We're being hopeful.
celebrate that good news that there's progress.
That that's one of the things with our collection. The tagline for it is inspire hope, inspire action, and we believe like with all these stories, can it inspire hope in us to do better? Can it inspire us to act? I mean, that's one man who has doggedly pursued a vision and brought it to life. Can we have 20, 30, 40 more Dangotes? Can we have other Nigerians, inspiring hope in others, inspiring action so that we can just make this country better?
I
Yeah.
love it. I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's a very, very interesting fact about the Granite Pyramids, about the great grandfather of Dangote. That's very interesting. Okay, all
Yeah.
right, I'm excited. Tell me more. So we have so
Okay.
far somewhere
So,
around
so,
there.
so, so right now, we're not going to leave the city of Kanu just yet.
Okay.
So around the time Al Hassan Dantata was the richest man in West Africa. We had the Granite Pyramids. It was a whole lot of commercial activity that was going on in that part of the country and I guess elsewhere. So, for example, in 1850, there is a documented report that 10 million pairs of sandals were exported from Kanu annually.
Wow. To where? Just all over the world?
All around the world. In fact, there are some accounts that even said a lot of them were going to Morocco, and then from Morocco they were going to the Mediterranean. So I guess maybe to Spain and some other places. And many people did not even know they were coming from Kanu. Most of them thought that it was from Morocco and what have you. And I mean, I've seen one or two pictures of them, beautiful stuff. And they're not just only 10 million sandals, they were also exporting about 5 million hides, tanned hides, to different parts of the world as well. In fact, the sandals, the hides, they were comparable to what was being produced in Manchester at the time.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
definitely by default, what I'm gathering is we were traders kind of a lot. I mean, Nigerian is not known for like exporting now, which is what people are trying to push for besides
Uh-huh.
oil. But
Yeah,
what this is bringing back to me is that at one point we were producers. There was a lot of things to the different way.
exactly. And we were not just exporting raw materials, we're exporting processed or semi-processed stuff. And that's why I'm talking about inspiring hope. Because if we look back to that time, it's not far. It's just about 100 years ago. We're doing all of that. So what changed? And why can't we replicate that? Right? So
Interesting.
so so that's the moral of the story, so to speak. Yeah,
Very, very interesting. It would be interesting to kind of trace what happened from that time to this time, like what disconnected from that time to this time.
exactly.
And then to see if that can be repaired.
Yeah,
Okay, very cool. I know
yeah.
there is a lot of push for stronger division in Nigeria. And to be honest, sometimes I'm like, it could work. Sometimes I'm like, I think it would weaken the strength that we have. It's further dividing the country. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting to see how there's a little bit of cross collaboration between the different regions of Nigeria too
Of
as well.
course, of course.
Yeah. But all right,
Yes.
but that is very, very so cool.
Yeah.
Where are those made from? I kind of want to get a better sense of like what is the commodity that they were using? What was the raw materials that they were using for the sand? Is it leather?
Yes, leather. They were leather sandals.
What animal?
Cattle.
Okay, okay,
Yes, because there's a
okay,
lot of
okay.
cattle in the north.
Yes, yes, very
Yeah,
interesting. Okay,
yeah,
all right. So let's go
yeah.
on to the next point.
All right. So, I'm going to show you another symbol
Wait,
here. I'm
I
sure
was gonna say something one time. I want to make sure we don't forget. You were bringing up
okay.
a couple as a reference. Can you talk more about that? What were you planning to talk about when you brought up Kobo?
Yes, I was just talking about
And can
the
I see
entrepreneur.
that? Can I see that shirt again? So that's a
Yeah.
shirt you.
So this is a notebook. We
Okay.
have different merch. Yes,
Okay. What
that has
Kobo
the
do you have on there? I can't even remember. What's the lowest denomination that we have there?
Okay, so the lowest is half kobo.
We had half Kobo. Wow. So okay,
Yes.
there's
Let me
half
see. I don't know if
Kobo.
you can
There's
see
one.
it here.
So there's half Kobo,
Yeah.
Kobo. Is there five?
So we've got half kobo, we've got 1 kobo. The next is 5 kobo, then 10 kobo, 25 kobo, 50 kobo, and then we have 1 naira. We had the 1 naira
One
coins.
naira coin.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
we had 2 naira coins as well.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, thank you so much for sharing
Yeah,
that. So yeah, wow.
yeah.
That's a lot of coins. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
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 let's move on
so
to the
so
next.
the whole idea was just to show that, like I said, we are very entrepreneurial in Nigeria, and go to different parts of the country, you just see a lot of people who are doing great things, um, as you can see, quite a number of the billionaires, the top billionaires in Africa, are also from Nigeria. So there must be something we're doing right, and let's see how we can replicate it, so to speak.
Yeah, the country as a whole, as you know, you look at the weakness and the strength, and ideally, you try
Yeah,
to exemplify the strength of the country
ex-
as much as you can,
exactly.
rather than like focusing so much on the weakness.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right. Very cool. So what's next?
yeah. So you can also see a symbol here of a
Mhm.
boat, right?
Boat. Let me see what you're pointing at. It's on the second line, right? Yep. I see it right here.
So, what I wanted to express was to just talk about like the marine heritage of Nigeria. Like, so it expresses a lot of things. First, it expresses the livelihood of people like in the Niger Delta, the livelihood of people too in places like the Lake Chad in Borno, the Hadejia, Guru wetlands, and what have you. But the very fascinating thing from here is that the oldest boat in Africa is from Nigeria.
Hmm.
And that boat is the third oldest boat in the world.
Hmm. Interesting.
So, and this is why it was very important, because at the time before it was discovered, you know, the the Western world, the international world, they didn't think too highly about the marine developments, in Africa, right? But and here's how the story goes. There was a Fulani herdsman, I think about 1987. He was trying to fetch water from a well for his cattle. It was close to the village of Dufuna, and he struck something hard. He tried to bring it out, it wasn't working. So he now called the villagers in around that place, and they came. I mean, if you go online, you even see a picture of the villagers excavating like the canoe from the ground.
Wow.
And when it came out, they were very shocked. Like it was quite a long canoe, and it was now taken for radiocarbon dating, right? To I think in some labs in Nigeria and then also in the UK. I think yes, abroad. And when they did that, it shocked them how old the boat was. It was 8,000 years old.
Wow.
Like it just shocked the international world. Like, how could there have been this sort of development 8,000 years ago in Africa? Not even talk about in Nigeria, around that area. So it completely upturned some of the assumptions they had about marine technology and developments in Nigeria. It was found to even be older than some boats from antiquity from other parts of the world.
Wow. That's very interesting. Man, I'm gonna have to find a picture of that boat too and share it.
Yeah. So
All right.
just Google Dufuna canoe. So
Dufuna.
Dufuna is in Yobe State in Nigeria. In fact, the boat is actually in the museum in
I
Yobe
can
State
see
as we
it.
speak.
Wow. Let me share it with you guys. That's what it looks like. Wow, this is cool. Wow. Okay. Wow, I'm learning a lot of history here.
Yeah.
All right, tell me more. So it looks like we got two more.
History class in session.
It's very fascinating. Okay.
So let me take you back to historical times again. So there is a Hausa city state king that was called Sarikin Muhammad Kanta. He was also known as the Great Warrior, right? He lived, I think, around the 16th century, and he was the only ruler in West Africa to resist the invasions from the Songhai Empire. So at the time, the Songhai Empire was the strongest and most advanced empire in the whole of West Africa. They had subsumed other tribes, I mean, other kingdoms and what have you. But that Kebi kingdom that he created, and he was king over, was never defeated. In fact, he built a capital that's called Surami. And this capital was so fortified. It was done with a dry stone wall construction, similar to those like in Rhodesia, that's Zimbabwe, the stone walls and all of that. He did that, and according to reports in UNESCO, because it's listed, I think, as a World Heritage Site on UNESCO, uh, it was difficult to penetrate during war. So that was one of the reasons it was never conquered. And I mean, I'll take the words out from the way UNESCO puts it. They said it
Yeah.
is one of the exemplary um show. It's one of the, how do I put it? It's one of the most iconic representations of ingenuity, creativity, and history in history.
This is amazing. So does this still exist or it's also not viewable?
So there are aspects of it that still exist, and I think that's what was protected as a heritage
Okay.
site.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So if you type Surami Kingdom, I think UNESCO, you see it on their site. Um, yeah. So I mean, and interestingly, there was a book, When We Ruled, by Robin Walker.
Okay.
When We Ruled is about the African kingdom, when the African kingdom was ruling the
The
world and all of that. Yes.
It's very fascinating because being that I just kind of traveled to different places in Europe. And
Hmm.
I'm not much more of like a European history kind of guy, but all these things that you're talking about, they've done a good job of like preserving them, maintaining them. You can actually see it, tour it, take pictures, and all types of stuff. So it's very
Yeah,
interesting to be learning some of this fortification stuff in Africa. It's very
exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. What else? So we are nine so
Okay.
far.
Yes.
Wow. And I might ask you questions with other symbols on this, just like rapid fire, real quick.
Oh,
Just
sure, sure, sure.
just so
You could
this
do that.
is not called. We might even have to get on this. We might have to do another video, so this one is not too long later because there's
Yeah.
so much to unpack and uncover. All right.
Okay, so the the world's oldest iron smelting site is in Nigeria. Is in a place called Leja in somewhere in Enugu state of Nigeria.
Hmm.
And they've done radiocarbon dating and found that the site existed as far back as 2000 BC. One of the interesting things there is that the stones are arranged in a very interesting pattern that also showed some religious, and spiritual aspects to the organization. So it means that it was not just iron smelting that was going on as early as that time, but there was also a sophisticated society that was getting that done as early as 2000 BC.
Wow. This is amazing. It lets us. What this is revealing to me is how much technology and ingenuity that was like existed a long time ago. Because
Yeah,
a lot of the times when I travel quite a bit and I can, especially studying Black history, I think one things that Nigerians are not aware of is a little bit of their history and the things that, because I hear people all the time say, oh, white man is smart, or the white man did this, or like, oh, wow, of course you can trust the white men, they organized this. And me, especially studying Black history, I'm like, I don't think Nigerians or Africans know that a lot of these things that they're talking about was actually not invented by the white men. Yeah, for sure, a lot of things were, but I think they
yeah.
discredit. I think they discredit the knowledge and the technology that even African and Black people have contributed to the civilization of the world. I think that's missing. And generally, that's missing in a lot of like.
Yeah, and there's a famous proverb, I think by it's an Igbo proverb, and I think it was popularized by Chinua Achebe that if I mean I'm paraphrasing now, that if the hunter is left to tell the story of the hunt,
Mm,
it is always going to favor the hunter, having killed like the lion. But if the
mm,
lion is meant to talk, allowed to tell its own story, it will probably also tell you about how he also did better at the hunt. I'm just
yes,
paraphrasing now.
yes,
Yes.
it makes sense.
So
I get it.
exactly. So we have to tell our stories, and we have to tell our stories in a captivating way. So that's why even what we do here, we try to make sure that we are distilling these stories in visual forms that people can easily assimilate, right? So so that it's not just boring stuff, but it's something that you can wear with pride anywhere.
Yes.
They become great conversation starters, wherever in the world you are, and it's just a
I
good way
like
of
this.
showcasing your identity.
I love this. I love the visual elements of this. This is
So I mean,
wow. Was
when
that the last fact before I start asking questions?
okay, yeah, so that's like the last, but then there are two bonus ones
All
I'm
right,
going to
give me
give.
bonuses.
Yeah, so first of all, this is one of the designs in the collection as well. This is
Hmm,
the National Theatre in Lagos. Stylized it here with
that's cool.
the green, white, green flag of Nigeria and all
Yeah,
of that.
I still see it when I drive in Lagos
Yeah.
sometimes. By the way, interesting fact, I've been here multiple times on a school field trip when I was
Okay.
going to school in Nigeria when I was younger. But
So,
I
so
this, yeah, tell me about it. Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So this particular monument was built. Uh, I think primarily for the Festac 77 event that was held in Nigeria in 1977.
What
right?
is that event? Is that like
Yeah,
like
so
a
that was the
football event?
second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture. Um, I mean, that festival cost the government about $400 million at the time.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you convert that to what we have now, that should probably be going to like maybe $5 billion or $10 billion
Wait,
or
wait, wait,
something.
wait. I think you just said something. Did you just break down what Festac means?
Yeah, so Festac means Festival of Art and Culture.
No, I've never known what that is. I just know there's a place called Festac, like
Uh,
I never actually questioned what that
yeah, and so
okay.
here's why
So
it's
wait,
interesting.
so you're saying this National Theatre was built for that Festac 70s.
So,
Okay.
just the way you have like maybe for example, Qatar is hosting a World Cup and then years before they start building stadiums,
Yeah, yes, yes,
or
yes,
a
yes.
country hosting. Yes, so this was primarily done, yes, to also make sure that it was ready in time for Festac. And here's the funny thing. In fact, Festac 77 is a shocking fact in its own right. Like that was the second festival of arts and culture for blacks and Africans worldwide, but it was the largest Pan-African event that ever held on the continent prior to that time, and to this day, there has not been any cultural event of that massive scale before up till
Interesting.
now. And
Wow,
here's why: we had, as at the time, over 17,000 people came from 55 different countries.
wow,
Stevie Wonder was there,
wow.
Miriam Makeba was there, late Fela Kuti was there, Wale Soyinka, all sorts. Like, so it was just a gathering to celebrate the achievements of blacks all over the planet. So whether you are African, whether you're an African in diaspora, whether you're Jamaican, it was just celebrating black excellence. So it brought together intellectuals, creative people, there were discussions, there were exhibitions, and what have you. In fact, some accounts of I was reading recently, I think when I was just trying to brush up on this, there was a guy, he's 84 years old now, but he was a little boy then who came with the delegate. I think he came to take pictures for Ebony Life or something, Ebony magazine. And he says that that is one of the most amazing times of his life because he had never been to Africa prior to that time. And then he comes to Africa and in one fell swoop, he witnesses a whole new wide variety of different cultures. There were cultures from like different parts of Nigeria, different parts of Africa. It was just mind blowing.
Wow, this is amazing. And I mean, one thing that even an outsider can get on from this video is because, they look at Africa as like one unit, but I think their mind would be blown that even in just one country, how much diversity
Yeah.
is in
I
even
mean,
one
I mean,
country.
500 languages in one country.
That's crazy. Wow. I think that would change the perception of how people look at an individual like country instead of,
Yeah.
to be honest, I have seen the National Theater, I've been to it. I never understood the symbolism or what it was for. I just thought it was to me, or my assumption was that it was just like a conference center built for
And
concerts and
yeah,
people
and
to perform.
the concept too for the art, the architecture of there
Mhm.
was the military hat.
Oh, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
can see, right?
Oh, I see it now. Guess what? Every time I drive by, I would never unsee it now as a military.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow,
That was
that's
during the
cool.
government of Gowon, I think. Was it Gowon or so? I can't remember.
It's very interesting to learn that about the National Theater. I even think they're trying to restore it some way, somehow. I think I saw some news.
Yes, they are, and I think they've started some work. They've renamed it also to Wale Soyinka um, Center for Arts and Culture. Also, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
Yes.
cool. All right,
So in
great.
fact,
Very cool.
we titled the design NT Igomu, and which just stands for National Theatre Igomu. So Igomu is the part of Lagos where it is, and we just wanted to just highlight that place, and you
Okay.
know.
I think it's good. That's a good highlight. Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. So you have one more bonus one for me.
Yeah, so I think this is I just want to share like a story that many people who have been in Nigeria would connect with, right? So you can see this design here. That's the
Yep.
Zuma Rock. Have you ever heard of Zuma Rock?
I have. I've watched some YouTube videos about it, but I still
Yeah.
don't know much about it. I've heard it has some mystical powers. That's the one in Abuja, right? Oh no, that's also
Yes, around there. So it's actually in Niger State, but
it's
there
Aso
it's
Rock
so close
different
to
from
Abuja.
Zuma Rock, right? Are they the same thing or they're different? Aso Rock and Zuma Rock, are they different?
Yes, they're different. They're different.
Okay, all right. So I think I've heard
Yeah.
about Zuma. I've been to Abuja a few times. Zuma Rock, I've
Yeah.
just seen it on YouTube. Yeah, but please tell
Yeah,
me
so
about it.
so one of the reasons we featured Zuma Rock too is because I think it holds a lot of nostalgic memories for a lot of people because it's kind of like right at the center of Nigeria, so to speak. And if, for example, you were in Maiduguri, which is like far in the northeast, and you were schooling, let's say, in King's College in Lagos, and you were going by road, there was no way you were not going to pass Sumarok. So
Mhm.
if you're going from the northern part of Nigeria to the southern part, most times you would see Zumarok. So Zumarok almost becomes a unifying symbol, a unifying national symbol to say, look, this symbol, this is what any of us can relate to. Almost everybody that has traveled in Nigeria has seen Zumarok. And many times as children, when you are traveling, maybe going back to school or going to the village, it was just always something you looked forward to because it was this massive monolith,
Yeah.
and then it said that there is the face of somebody's face there, and as kids, you'd be scared to look at it because you don't want it maybe to do something to you, sort of thing. So there are just a whole lot of stories there, and we just feel like that's a good rallying point, just express that unity and oneness that we want for people
I like
to
it.
imbibe.
I like
Yes.
it. I like it. Wow, very cool. Well, this has been such an informative session. And more
Thank
importantly, I
you.
got to learn more because I'm familiar with some history on the Yoruba side, which is like my tribe. But
Yeah.
I don't know much about the northern like history and culture. So this video has been good to kind of help me learn more about the northern part of Nigeria. So which is very, very interesting. I think I wanted to bring you on, but I also want to highlight because I want to highlight your business because when I saw this shirt, I just like the design. But before
Thank
we
you.
talk about if you guys want this shirt, I think he has key fobs, all types of cool things. But if you guys want to learn more about how to get this, we'll share that with you guys. But for now, I have some questions. Just this one
All
is
right.
easy, and we
All
can keep
right.
it short.
Let's
What is
go.
this? What is this? It looks like the coat of arms or something. What is this? This
Yes.
cup.
So I'm sure you're referring to this, right?
No, this catapult.
Okay.
This
Yes.
item. What
So
is this?
actually, that's a catapult, right?
Okay, it is a
So what
catapult.
I did
Okay, okay,
was,
okay, okay.
yes. So what I did was, I took the coat of arms, which is this one, the shield in the
Okay.
coat of arms. I just sort of like took it out and made it to be like a catapult because the catapult is also a story that many Nigerians can relate to. As kids growing up,
Yeah.
we had the
Okay.
catapult shooting birds, whether you're in Lagos, Kebbi, or wherever.
Okay.
That's something every child
That's
in
very
Nigeria.
fire. What is this?
Okay, which is that now? Uh, this one.
Yes. This too.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So those are talking drums. The Yoruba
Okay,
tribe. Yeah.
okay. So you kind of represented different things from different cultures here.
Yes, that's the
What is
idea.
this? Like a very imposing design.
Okay, I can't see too clearly.
This one.
Which okay, I think you're
This
referring to
one.
this, right? This one.
No. Yeah, is it? Yeah, 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 yeah. That one. Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
okay,
That
so
one.
this is the national flower of Nigeria. It's
Interesting.
called, yeah, I'm sure you're referring to this, right?
Yes. Yep, this one.
Yes. So that's the national flower of Nigeria. It's called the yellow trumpet.
Hmm. I
The
feel like we're gonna
scientific
need to
name.
have one video to like break down all of these.
Yeah.
I didn't even know we had a national flower. But I
Yes,
saw
it was chosen because it's found almost everywhere in Nigeria. That's why I have it at different parts. So it's here,
what
different parts, just to show
what did
that
you call it again? Sorry, the name of the flower?
the yellow trumpet.
Yellow trumpet. I'm gonna have to look
Yes,
that. I'm gonna see if we have.
otherwise known as Costus spectabilis. That's the scientific name, Costus spectabilis.
Wow, that's cool. What is this? I know I'm giving you rapid fire questions. What is
Okay,
this?
yes. So interestingly, for this particular one, I think it's this, right? Let me use this so that I can see it well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you will notice that we have everything is encased in
Oh,
this.
okay. Yes, yes, I see it. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
You're Yoruba,
Yes.
so you
You
should
know
know.
what? When you said that, it reminds me of that. The stuff that has
Reminds
to
you,
where
right?
they like put. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
and that's not a game played only in Yoruba. Like it's played in different parts of the country. Even my own culture to play the game.
The
And
one where they
so,
grab those rocks, right, and then they spread it across.
yes.
Okay,
But
okay,
so
okay.
you have seeds. You play them with seeds. So I
Mm-hmm.
use this as a metaphor to just talk about like the agricultural endowment of Nigeria. So that's why you have cocoa here, you've got yam here, you've got maize, then
Wow.
there is a livestock here, and then there's palm tree here to talk about like a palm oil and all of
Oh,
that.
wow. This makes me appreciate the shirt even more since I'm into farming.
Yeah.
What is this three leaves?
Okay, so this one's right.
Yep.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so those are feathers actually. They are from
Okay.
Yeah, so they are from our national animal, which is the eagle, and our national bird, which is the black-crowned crane.
Wow.
Yes.
Very cool. Then lastly, what is this? It looks like a calabash or a pot or something.
This right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is actually representing like the calabashes that are used during the Agugu festival in Kebbi
Okay.
State.
Wow.
Yes.
This is very
Yeah.
cool. I feel like now I'm gonna wear this shirt in a lot of my videos now. I just like how it
Yeah.
represents the symbols of Nigeria. I think did you talk about this earlier? I think you did. Well, actually, no, not this. What is this? Sorry, last one.
Okay. So, this again, I think it's this, right?
Yep. I
So
think
this
it's at
again
the back.
points to it
Like a
points to our childhood, right? So if
hmm.
for people who grew up in like the villages, rural areas, right? So many times when you're playing in the stream, you go to take your bath or you're playing, sometimes there might be two big trees that are kind of like traversing the areas. And what happens is you could tie a rope at one end, tie another rope at one end, and use that as a swing
Oh, okay.
across the river.
So is that what these two
Yes.
trees are representing?
Yes. So this one's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they're representing. Yeah. So it's just that
Wow. Do
whole.
you have a breakdown of all these symbols like on your website or Instagram or something?
Yeah. So we're gonna have that up like tomorrow or next max. Yeah.
I think it will be very fascinating. So let's
Yeah.
pitch because this has been such a good. So if you guys want this shirt with all these cool symbols and the different designs that he has, check out Arewatees, which is Arewatees, right? On Instagram, and that's also your website. But anyways, let me let you
Yes.
go. Tell us about
Yeah.
your merchandise, what you do, how people can order, how people can find out about the symbols, the history, the story behind it. Please just take it away.
Yeah. Again, as I usually do, I'll start with the story. So earlier this year, I just took off. I mean, I told my staff, like, look, you guys are not going to be able to reach me. So for 2 weeks, I was incommunicado. It was only my wife and there one or two people that could reach me. Nobody else could reach me, my staff, nobody. And I just went to really sit down and put all the ideas I've been having together, do some more research so that I could bring something groundbreaking in this collection. So this collection really um is really a symphony of cultural symbols and monuments, that will educate Nigerians and all lovers of Nigeria, to understand that Nigeria is a rich, blessed country with a lot of stories to tell and a lot to offer the world. So, yes, we've done this collection on t shirts, on hoodies, sweatshirts, tote bags, notebooks, keychains, like I think about 8 or 9 different products, and everything is available to order on our website, which is arewatees.com. If you would also want to order on WhatsApp, you could reach out on WhatsApp. The links are on Instagram. and on our website as well. So all of this, if you can place your orders now, they'll be delivered to you anywhere in the world before October 1. Yes, October 1 is
I
around the
like
corner.
that. The Nigerian independence.
Yes,
First,
yes.
so you guys can read this. This is my favorite, but I like
Yes.
the other one too with the states. But question: are where you put those states? Are they also where they're located on the map?
Yes.
Perfect. I love it because that would help
Yes,
me
yes,
know what states border which one, and I have that shirt too, so I like it. Very cool,
yeah.
guys. All right, thank you so much for joining. One quick question. A lot of my people are outside of Nigeria. Do you ship worldwide?
Sure, sure. We ship worldwide. We ship
Oh,
worldwide. Like we use DHL. We have a partnership with them. So anywhere, whether you're in Switzerland, whether you are in Grenada,
man,
US, Canada, UK, we ship to you.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I
Thank
think
you
I
so
should show
much.
you this. This is the theme shirt, So, like I said, it's Niger Spirit of Oneness, and this is the theme shirt. And there are quite a number of people who say they love the simplicity and all of that. And the story behind this is, if you notice, this is a block simplified kind of lettering for Niger, and then this is this is actually my handwriting, Spirit of
Ah,
Oneness. So the
beautiful.
whole idea was just to showcase, the complexity of Nigeria, the simple, the complex, the way we are very entrepreneurial and we're very simple as well. We're very jovial, It just we're very artistic, and also when we come to STEM fields that seem to be formal, we do also very, very well.
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing your knowledge, expanding my mind. It also helps me even look at
welcome.
Nigeria a little bit differently. And I hope the people that are watching this would enjoy what we just did. And I think we have to do another one because there's so much more to unpack. So we might have to
Yeah,
do more of
I
this.
mean, I'm okay with that.
I really appreciate it. Anyways, guys, what fact did you not know, guys, watching this video? Comment underneath this video and which one was the most striking and interesting to you. Again, comment on this video. And again, thank you so much for watching. Check out Arewatees. I really like what this young brother is doing, kind of preserving our culture and heritage and education to kind of keep things alive. If we can't keep it physically, we can at least have some sort of symbols to like remember some of our history. So thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much, Bayo.
And
My
last
pleasure.
but remember, it's your time to rise and let your light shine. Peace.